Hi, friends.
Hi, friends.
We're back. It's episode 113 of the Brunch and Judge.
It is.
Applause, applause. Everyone applaud.
We're still here.
We are. I mean, we took a small break because of technological difficulties, because the internet is stupid.
Specifically, well, not really my internet. It's my internet company. And you'll find more about that later.
Is that a future judge? Huh.
Thank you, Freddie, foreshadowing. Okay.
All right. So we are your hosts. I'm April.
And I'm Claire.
And this week we are talking family curses. And no, we're not talking about you having to help your Auntie Edith into the nursing home where she smells like cat poop or whatever. That's its own family curse, but...
Like, what are we talking about?
I don't know. I made that up as I went. I don't think it came out quite as well as I was hoping, but that's okay.
I was like, what?
So this week I go first. And I bring to you the family curse of the Rockefellers. Yes.
Ooh.
Those Rockefellers. So I got my information from Grunge, Wikipedia, the Rake, Ranker, and New York Times.
Nice.
So the Rockefeller family, who you probably learned about in AP American History, because that's probably the only time I did.
Yeah.
I feel like it was only so. AP American History. Most well known for the creation of Standard Oil, which is now multiple companies, but Exxon is probably the biggest chunk of it. But anyway, Standard Oil was founded in the 19th century by brothers John D. and William Rockefeller. It was a multi-million-dollar empire that bought lots of other oil companies in order to, have it all. And then also bought railroads so that they could control all the supply chains. And eventually, John D. took over control of the company. I guess Brother William had zero interest. I don't know. I don't care. But John took over, and he became the world's first billionaire and is still considered to be the richest man who ever lived. Still. Like now, even in this day with all the idiots out there. Elon.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Because at one point, my dude, by Guinness, was declared the world's wealthiest person.
Interesting.
Private citizen.
Oh,
okay.
maybe that's what it is.
Maybe that was the kicker.
There's probably some weird caveats, but whatever.
Probably, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you may know Rockefeller Center in New York City was actually built by John D.'s son and is an expansive 19 commercial skyscrapers whose centerpiece, this is not my writing. Someone else wrote this.
You're like, this is not
just
me.
It's very important. Whose centerpiece serves as a statement dagger thrust into the heart of Midtown Manhattan. Like, what the hell kind of a statement is that? A statement dagger thrust into the heart of Midtown Manhattan.
That's a very phallic statement.
It's a lot. Interestingly, all of that was built at the start of the Depression and financed completely by the Rockefeller family. So there's that.
Because they got the monies.
Well, and I'm sure you were concerned, like, what if the Rockefellers were like good people? They weren't.
I was going to say, are they? No.
They were not. John D. was a massive dick, of course. One of the biggest horrible things was the Ludlow Massacre, which was a deadly attack that he encouraged, allowed, I'm not sure how you want to phrase it, against the striking workers of a mine that he owned. So there were 1,000 coal miners in Colorado who went on strike over low wages and dangerous working conditions. You know,
as they should have.
reasonable requests. Hey, you're not paying
Right.
us enough, and also we're dying. So let's fix it.
Oh, that sounds so familiar.
So Rockefeller did the only thing he could think of to their strike and decided, hey, let's evict all the workers and their family from the company-owned housing because that's what we do. Oh, you don't want to work? Well, then fine. You don't get to live in the company-owned housing that I make you pay for. So they decided to set up a tent community and continue their strike. And so Rockefeller, with the help of the National Guard, gross, went to break it up and a clash ensued, at which point the strike leader was killed, who at the time, by the way, was attempting to negotiate a truce.
Oh my gosh. This is just there are so many things that happen. The history just repeats itself. I'm telling you, there's just so much.
Exhausting.
It
and
is.
So the National Guard began shooting at the families who were fleeing.
Like they're not even like attacking. They're like running away. And so we're going to continue to shoot you in the back.
And so they ended up killing 2 women and 11 children. Congratulations. Good job.
You're big, bad men, aren't you? Wow, that's classy.
So, you know.
Awesome.
Not good people.
Ultimately,
if you did not take AP American History, I'm here for you. Because ultimately, the U.S. government had to intercede on and break up Standard Oil. It was the first antitrust case. Because eat the rich, guys. Like, no one needs to have that much money. Like,
no.
Monopolies are bad. So, no. So, on that note, let's get rid of Amazon. Anyone? Anyone? Can we please? Garbage.
Right.
Garbage.
Yes.
Also, Elon Musk.
Yes. Right.
Just all of it. All of him. All of his things.
Right.
So, I mean, Rockefeller did donate to charities, you know. And he helped establish a school or several schools in the United States and in Asia for some reason. I don't know why the Asia thing. But even still, the universe had some karma in store. Yes. Let's see. Just in case that wasn't enough bad, I forgot this one bad. I skipped it. Here's the other bad.
Oh, okay.
This is why we love karma. So in 1918, the Rockefeller Foundation helped to create the Eugenic Society of Sao Paulo, and in doing so, directly financed programs aimed at exterminating the poor and disabled and those of mixed African descent throughout Brazil.
That's gross.
So just...
That is so gross.
Yes. So Rockefeller's bad, karma good. Yay for some family curses. So John D had 5 children, but only one of them soon to have gotten married and had kids. Shocking. His name was John D. Jr. So
your favorite.
You know how
I have a lot of that. I have a lot of that.
I hate it so much.
Too.
It's so
I have
stupid.
So much of that. In my
I hate
story.
it. I just. Anyway, John D. Jr. had 6 kids, and they all managed to have several kids. So there's still a billion Rockefellers out there, but
right, yeah,
whatever. So we're going to talk first about Winifred Rockefeller, 1951. She was John D.'s great niece, and she was found dead in her garage from asphyxiation along with 2 of her daughters. It was murder-suicide, which is gross and bad and sad.
Yes,
so
that's terrible.
had started 2 cars, and she trapped her 12 and 6-year-old daughters. So, like, old enough to get out and move. Like, so she trapped them inside, and they all died.
See, look, if you're wanting, so unaliving yourself is bad enough.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
And that's terrible. But don't take people down with you.
No.
Like, especially children.
Yes.
Like, that's just another level of awfulness.
Horrendousness. Like,
yes.
But why?
That's like next level, man. Like, just don't.
And what's worse is that the governess found them. Like, she came home, the house is full of smoke, and she discovers that they're in the cars, and, like, it's obviously intentional.
Right.
So
like, this was not an accident.
No. So that was fucked up. 1978, John D. Rockefeller III, so Junior named one of his kids Junior.
Right, yes.
He died in a head-on car crash. Now, interestingly, Rockefeller's secretary was behind the wheel when they were struck in a head-on collision near Mount Pleasant, New York, just 12 miles north of the family's sprawling estate. Now, why was his secretary driving his car near the family estate? Just out of curiosity. Anyone?
Right.
Anyone?
Like, no.
Tragically, the 16-year-old boy who was driving the other car also died, so that does suck.
Yeah, that's not good.
1979, the next year, John D. Rockefeller III, I think. They're all named too many things. One of them, one of the John D. Rockefellers, first, second, third, I don't know, had a brother named Nelson.
You're like, finally.
Who once served as vice president under Gerald Ford and was actually the governor of New York for a while, because apparently that's how politics always works. It's gross. He died of a heart attack alone with a quote-unquote young staff member in one of his homes.
Oh my god.
Oh, the scandal. So, like, what I think were brothers, because I think it's the brother was one that died in the car crash with the secretary driving, and this brother dies of a heart attack alone with a young staff member. Like, what are they doing? Yeesh.
Right.
2014, Richard Rockefeller died in a plane crash. He was an experienced pilot and was on his way back to Maine, where he lived, but he had left after attending his father's 99th birthday party.
Ugh.
So, apparently fog...
Was he inebriated? I mean...
they blame fog. They said that a fog suddenly rolled in and he crashed 200 feet from a house. So, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, probably a little bit of alcohol, you know? Just a little bit.
I feel like they would cover that up.
It's true. They would. They absolutely would. Just like the secretary and the young staff member.
Dang. I mean...
Okay, and now for the coup de grace, the reason that we're all here, the one story that we're all waiting for
this. Yes.
Where we talk about Michael Clark Rockefeller, who was the great-grandson of John D. Original.
Yes.
Now,
OG.
Michael Clark was interested in anthropology and worked on like documentaries and was really interested in civilizations that have no contact with the modern world, which very fascinating. I'm here for it. I'm like, yeah.
It's like, way to like branch out and not be part of the family business.
I know. It's like, okay. It's like
use that money that you came into for not just putting it back into the oil business. Yeah, just keep on.
So in 1961, he was 23 years old, so still just a a young lad, really. And he and a Dutch anthropologist named Rene Wassing were in a canoe about 3 miles off the shore of New Guinea when their boat was, quote unquote, swamped. Like, I guess water got on somehow and it overturned. And so they had some guides that were with them, and the guides swam to go get help. But it was taking so long so that Michael was like, I think I can make it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he started swimming towards shore, and that was the last time he was ever seen alive. Now, his disappearance was a national story because his daddy was Nelson, the one who died of a heart attack with the young staff member.
Right.
And his dad at the time was governor of New York. So, like, big name, well known, everybody knew him. His son just disappears. No one knows what happened to him. Like, did he drown? Did he get attacked by sharks? And it's just like a whole big...
Right.
The whole world is all upset. So, in 2014, there was a book that came out called Savage Harvest that detailed testimonies from the ASMAT, I'm sure, ASMAT, the ASMAT tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And their testimonies claimed that Michael had been killed by the tribe in revenge for a Dutch raid that had happened like 4 years earlier. And he was like, oh, well, that sounds awful. Why are we killing? He wasn't even Dutch.
Right. Like
the other guy was Dutch.
Like he's like, oh, he's white. He's part of that.
Yeah. One source claimed that Michael's mother paid a $250,000 reward to a private investigator in 1979 that she had hired to try and solve the disappearance because they had no idea what happened to him. And he is said to have returned with the 3 skulls of the only quote-unquote white men that the tribe had killed. So one of those skulls theoretically was Michael's, which is creepy.
Ew.
But then in a documentary film called Keep the River on Your Right, they interviewed some Asmat villagers who described that they found Rockefeller on the riverside, like he had made it to land, and that they killed him and then they ate him.
Ew.
Because what's a story without cannibalism? Cannibals! Eating it all.
I mean, really, who would have thought that the Rockefellers would be connected to cannibalism?
I know. I mean, like, such a weird thing. It's like, the boat was swamped, overturned. Now, these were the same people that they had been with, had interviewed, had conversations with. So, like, he swims to shore. He sees people maybe that he kind of knew or had sort of interacted with. And they were like, oh, you're alone now. Yummy.
Right.
What the hell?
You're by yourself. Well.
Now, the Asmat villagers went on to say that soon after that had happened, after they had killed and eaten him, apparently a cholera epidemic happened to sweep through the village. And so they thought that was retribution for what they had done to Rockefeller. So they felt like they were punished for it. And I'm like, damn.
Wow.
All right. So, like, the heck, man. The heck.
Karma was swift.
Apparently. And I'm over here being like, why'd you kill off the one semi-decent Rockefeller when we had all these assholes everywhere? Like, he's over here just like, I just want to know about these tribes that managed to just live without oil, you know?
Right, yeah.
Now, the Rockefellers also have a history of severe bouts of depression, family affairs. They have affairs, and there was one divorce in which mental cruelty was cited as a reason for the divorce. So that was good old Nelson.
Oh, boy.
So again, Nelson, long, successful political career because the biggest douchebags do the best in politics. Haven't you noticed?
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. So prior to, again, so he was vice president to Gerald Ford in 1974, and he was the 49th governor of New York for 14 years. Do they not have like the 2-term limit? I don't know.
Apparently not.
I don't care. Let's be real.
You're like, I don't know.
But in 1963, as a father of 5, he divorced his first wife, which is really uncommon back then for politicians.
Right.
And he, that same year, remarried his second wife, named Happy, shit you not, who was 18 years his junior.
Scandal.
And apparently, this was what was weird. So I guess Happy had been married before as well, and she gave her ex-husband sole custody of of her children. So like she just like left him all, like it's a whole big thing. I'm like, what the hell is happening?
Oh, that is weird.
But Rockefeller actually ran to be the Republican presidential nomination in 1964, but like all that divorcey crap or whatever didn't, kind of killed it for him. So he lost that nomination to none other than Barry Goldwater.
Who?
Did you say who?
Yeah.
Don't you remember the Goldwater wins? On the newspaper?
No, I know.
I was like,
no, I know.
Please say that's not some random stupid fact that I held on to that nobody else did.
No, I'm just saying because it was like, because he didn't win. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But again, those of you who didn't take AP American History, I forget what newspaper thought that Goldwater was going to win, so they went ahead and printed the headline, and then, spoiler, he lost.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Spoiler. Anyway. So, Mary was the first wife. So she is the one who divorced Nelson on the grounds of extreme mental cruelty. And she said that, this is a quote from a newspaper article, that in order for something to be considered extreme mental cruelty, and this is a newspaper article at the time, so like, they put some foot around stuff. So apparently that meant that Nelson had caused her, quote, great unhappiness and injured her general health. Through a pattern of behavior or actions that cause significant harm, suffering, or distress to one spouse, making it untenable to continue the marriage. What the hell does that mean? That's what extreme mental cruelty is. Untenable to continue the marriage. Significant harm, suffering, or distress.
It's pretty vague.
I know. I mean, I think the correct answer is cheating. He was cheating on her.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, gross. So, gross. Now,
Vaguery.
I'll leave you with one last little weird tidbit about the Rockefellers. Because as we know them, we know John D. started the whole thing and the Standard Oil, yada, yada. But where did John D. and William come from? Who was their daddy? Because he was the original John Rockefeller. Got to start with one. What can I say? And so he was largely an absent father, and in fact was a con artist. It explains so much.
Oh my God.
It explains so much. I never knew this. And I'm like, it all makes sense to me now how he became so successful. Because Daddy worked as a traveling salesman where he often faked being deaf and mute and would peddle miracle remedies that were completely useless.
Wow.
Apparently, he went by the nom de plume Devil Bill.
Wow.
Also had a mistress, which shocker.
Right.
But interestingly, his mistress lived in the house as the housekeeper. So that had to be a weird family
dynamic, right?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Had lots of illegitimate children. Also had a second wife and a second family that he would, on top of the mistress, mind you, that lived with one of the families. He had 2 families that did not know about each other.
Wow.
So, like, there are a lot of Rockefellers out there, and only some of them are those Rockefellers.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And that is the story of the family curse of the Rockefellers that didn't take out enough of the bad people. But also Nelson was a giant douchebag.
Right.
I mean, they all were, but like he was extra douchey. What can I say?
Right. That's crazy.
Died of a heart attack in his home with a young staff member.
It's like, what? What does that mean?
We all know what that means. We all know.
Yes, I know. I know.
We all know.
Yeah.
We know. It's fine.
Read between the lines. I mean, come on.
All right, Claire, what story have you brought us for Family Curses?
I'm going to be talking about the Getty family.
Ooh. Gotta get these old-time family full of money. Gross.
Which, if you ever are on the internet and you see underneath a photo Getty images, that's this family. That person came from this family. So, but they're not rich because of that.
No, they're not.
No. So the big kahuna of this family is John Paul Getty Sr., who they refer to as J. Paul Getty. He was born December 15th, 1892. Oh, first, my sources are Wikipedia, Grunge, page 6, and People.
Ooh.
He founded Getty Oil Company. He's the patriarch of the Getty family, and he is a native of Minneapolis. And his father was George Getty, who was also in the oil business. So, came but honest. Everybody loves oil.
Everybody loves oil. Ugh, gross. Right. Hey, look, Claire, we're talking about oil.
Yeah. And apparently when he grew up, he was like super frugal. I mean, like beyond like what you and I would consider frugal. Like,
okay.
Even when he got older and he could afford like whatever, like I was reading like things that he would do, the man would not respond to letters like on a new sheet of paper. He would like write responses in the margins and send it back.
Sure.
If his old shirt was like fraying and stuff on the sleeve, he would like trim off the frayed stuff and like, you know, fix it himself. He would never go buy new clothes, like hardly ever.
Okay, I am that person, but it's not out of frugality. It's total laziness. It's like,
well, you get what I'm saying, but you know what I mean. Yeah, but it was just like ridiculous stuff and being frugal. But in 1957, Fortune magazine declared him the wealthiest living American.
Aha.
Yeah. And then in 1966, the Guinness Book of World Records declared him the world's wealthiest private citizen.
Oh,
so I'm sure there's some kind of something with that. Yeah. He was worth at that time $1.2 billion.
So fucking insane.
Now, in today's money, is $8.6 billion.
God.
And at the time of his death in 1976, because he was born, like I said, 1892. His death in 1976, he was worth more than $6 billion, which is like $25 billion today.
Eat the rich, man. Like, what the fuck?
Right. He had 5 children and was divorced just as many times. He had 5 sons with 4 wives. Possibly had more children.
Probably.
And example, 1917, a woman named Elsie Ekstrom filed a paternity suit against him. She claimed that he took her virginity while she was drunk and fathered her daughter. And
wow.
they settled out of court for $10,000.
10,000?
In 1917, though.
Fine. But still.
Yeah. And so then she left town with the kid and was never so, but of course they tried to say that she was like super promiscuous and blah, 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 blah.
And she's over here like, I was a virgin? What?
Yeah.
What do you want?
They're like trying to say she's a whore. And
it's virgin.
You whore.
Virgin. You whore.
You whore.
You whore.
Exactly. So, his wives, I mean, this is almost like reading about Henry VIII. I swear. His first wife was Jeanette Demont. They were married 3 years, from 1923 to 1926. Mm-hmm. They had one child, George Getty, the second. So I'm imagining he was named after his dad, George Getty, because he lived from 1924 to 1973. So I will get to him later. Second wife was Alline Ashby, or I'm gonna say it's Allene. It's not Eileen. It's Alline Ashby. They were married from 1926 to 1928. They had no kids, but it was a bigamous marriage because he was not yet divorced from his first wife.
No. Ew.
Yeah. And also, this one's cringy because he met her when she was 17.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they like ran off to Mexico and got married. Yeah. And then it was like, oh, by the way, we're not divorced from my first wife. So maybe we should like get divorced. But we stayed married for 2 years. Like, what the fuck?
Wow. Okay.
Like, gross. Anyway. So, but yeah. Met her when she was 17 years old. And I'm just like, what? I don't know what the math is on that. He was
gross.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know. He was gross.
God. He would have been, let's see, 26 and 8. He would have been, God. Yeah. He would have been like, what, 34 years old? 34 and she was 17. That's disgusting.
No. Wrong.
Then in 1928, he married Adolphine Helmoli. She was German. She was also 17. So
what's his do with 17-year-olds?
So 2 years later, you know, he's 36 and she's 17. They had one son, Jean Ronald, and that one was kind of convoluted. Anyway, he met her when he was 17. He winds up taking her to Mexico where he married the other 17-year-old. Yeah.
Well, if it worked once, it'll work again, I suppose.
Right.
Gross.
Anyway, so she winds up like divorcing him and taking the kid back to Germany. Which I don't blame her because this guy's a dick. His fourth wife was Anne Rourke. He married her from 1932 to 1936. They had John Paul Getty Jr.
Gross.
Right. And they had Gordon Peter Getty. So they had 2 sons together. And then he married Louise Dudley Lynch, and her nickname was Teddy, and I'm not sure where that came from. And they were married from 1939 to 1958, and they had one son, Timothy Ware Getty. So, yeah. Lots of wives, lots of boys.
Yeah, that's pretty gross. I hate that.
Like, if anybody's a hooer, it was this man.
It's him. He's the hooer.
It's this man. This man was a whore. I'm sorry. I guess if he's got enough money, he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Apparently
it was what it was. Anyway.
It still is what it is, so.
Right. So the first kind of tragedy in this guy's life, besides his love life. I swear. 1958, Getty's youngest son, Timothy Ware, passed from a brain tumor at the age of 12. He had it for some time, and it caused him to go blind. Talked about him being blind when he was 6. And he scolded his wife at the time, who was Teddy, for paying and spending money on his son's treatment.
Seriously?
Yeah.
God.
And I'm just like, what?
So he's a hooer and a douchebag. Got it.
Yes, exactly. When Timothy passed, Getty was living in England. Apparently, he wound up moving to England and lived over there a lot of his life, adult life. When his son passed, he did not come to his son's funeral.
No.
Right. And I don't know if that was a money thing, like he didn't want to spend the money to come back to the States, which I absolutely would believe that if they had said that. So, as she should have, Teddy divorced him later that year.
He's like, fuck you. Yeah, correct.
And I think it said that she wrote like a book. She wrote like a memoir book talking about all the stuff, and she wound up living to be like 103.
Oh,
so
there you go.
Yeah. So she has a book out about her life with him, I guess. In the 70s, we just call him J.P. Getty Jr. J.P. Jr. became a drug addict.
Well, everyone did in the 70s, so that's
right.
Fair.
While he was living in Morocco, and he winds up divorcing his wife. And he gets married to this actress named Talitha Pole. And she winds up, I guess, because I don't know if she was already addicted to drugs when she got with him, but while she's married to JP Jr., she winds up overdosing in 1971 and dies.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Heroin. So it's like, what the fuck, man? And so this one, I'm just going down through the years. This one's kind of like the coup de grace.
Right.
Of the stuff that happens. In 1973, JP Jr.'s son, I'm just calling him JP3.
Okay.
Because he's JP the third.
Right.
So JP3, he was living in Rome and like doing drugs as the teenagers do when you're 16 and just living in Rome.
I mean, might as well. What else is there to do?
Yeah, because that's what I did when I was 16.
Right. I lived in Rome and I did drugs. That was my
on my parents' dime, you know, because that's what 16-year-olds do. Anyway, JP3 was living in Rome on his parents' dime. He was kidnapped by some Italian gangsters.
Oops.
Yeah, just said he was like out doing drugs with his buddies and he just disappeared, and they thought he just like went on a bender, disappeared for a couple days, and it's like, okay, cool, we'll see you when you get done. And
turns out he was kidnapped. Okay.
Until his family got the ransom demand from the kidnappers, and they wanted $17 million,
and Daddy said no.
Well, Daddy wanted to JP Jr.
Oh, right. Daddy said yes, but Granddaddy said no.
Right. JP Jr. wanted to pay it. And I think initially Granddaddy Getty thought that JP3 was pulling a fast one. Just trying to get money because Granddaddy was so stingy with the money. And he was just like, oh, he's faking it. He's not really kidnapped. We're not paying anything. No, I'm not giving you money. We're not doing this. I thought it was a ploy from this kid to get money. So yeah, he refused to pay. That is until the kid's ear showed up.
And the ear showed up at least, yeah.
Well, yeah. An ear showed up. Well, first he also said too, it was also, I'm thinking this kid is playing you. And he also said that he wasn't going to pay because if he paid, it would show that he was weak and that would give people a reason to kidnap his 13 other grandchildren.
Wow. Okay.
So that would put targets on his 13 other grandchildren's backs.
Interesting theory. Okay.
Yeah. So those are reasons why he didn't pay until kidnappers cut off JP3's ear and some of his hair and sent it to an Italian newspaper. Not even the police, just the newspaper.
Well, you know, because then it's like, oh, granddaddy, you look like a douchebag.
Yeah, and so then JP3's ear and hair show up at this newspaper.
Right.
And I guess then they're like, hey, we have your kid's ear.
Like, can you imagine being like the male person who's like, you're just opening shit and you're like, well, this one has an ear. Who wants it? Anyone?
Right, yeah.
Anyone?
So that's when Granddaddy Getty decided to step in, but he was not going to pay the $17 million.
No, we got to negotiate.
Right. No, we're not. No, sir, we are not paying those prices. Absolutely not. We are not paying. No. We are not paying full
you
price.
Misunderstand how much value I put on my grandchild. I have 13 others, so
right. It's like, no, sir, we are not paying full price.
No.
So he negotiated the ransom down to $2.9 million.
Wow. Okay.
However, Granddaddy Getty only paid the $2.2 million straight out because that was the max that was allowable, that was tax deductible.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He loaned the remaining like $800,000 to JP Jr. To pay, which JP Jr. was expected to pay back to him with 4% interest.
Wow.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
God, this guy's a tool and a half. All right.
Yep. So I'm like, wow. You know what? Everything bad that happens to your family, I feel like
it's his fault. Like, I mean,
yeah.
Lord.
Because you didn't love your kids enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were too busy being a hooer. So, as you can imagine, JP3 never really, before I say that, he was found alive.
Good.
On December 15th, 1973.
Mm-hmm.
At a filling station, it's like at a gas station.
Mm-hmm.
JP3 called Granddaddy to thank him for helping him and paying, but Granddaddy refused to come to the phone to talk to him.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep.
No one in this family murdered Granddaddy? Like,
no.
I absolutely would have murdered Granddaddy just for the sake of the family. Like, it's not like the rest of them, maybe not the greatest human beings, were at least not as dickish as that guy.
Right.
Damn.
So as you can imagine, JP3 never recovered really from this trauma, because this is a time period where it's like, oh, PTSD's not a thing.
No, you're fine now. Suck it up.
we don't go to therapy. No. So naturally he becomes a drug addict.
Mm-hmm.
Drug and alcohol. In 1981, he winds up having a stroke that was induced by drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
He winds up becoming partially blind and paraplegic, and he has like speech impediment at that point. He's in a wheelchair until he dies in 2011 at the age of 54. So it's like tragic life.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel like a lot of that could be blamed. I mean, granted, I know the kid made his own choices.
But however, like, if Granddaddy had just paid the goddamn $17 million to start with, he would still have an ear. He wouldn't have been there as long, and he might have been able to recover.
Was, like, months.
Yeah,
he was there for months. It wasn't. We're not talking like just a couple of days or like a few weeks, no months. So yeah. But there is a 2017 movie called All the Money in the World that's about this whole situation, which I think Christopher Plummer plays Getty.
Okay.
And I think it said Michelle Williams plays his mom, JP3's mom. Anyway, if I remember it correctly. So the same year.
Okay.
All this is going on. 1973. George Getty, the oldest son, he was high on a cocktail of drugs and alcohol, and he stabbed himself to death with a barbecue fork.
He stabbed himself to death with a barbecue fork?
Yep. So, yeah.
Okay. Sure.
He was in his 50s.
Did Daddy go to that funeral?
I don't know. It didn't say. And most recently, Andrew, who's the son of Gordon, so this is Granddaddy's great, or no, yeah, it's another grandson. Andrew, son of Gordon, died from intestinal bleeding at the age of 47. They said autopsy said it was accidental, but methamphetamine use and heart disease were contributing factors.
I accidentally killed myself with meth. Okay.
Yeah.
Noted.
Yeah. And there are many, like, at this point, great grandchildren. I can't remember which one. Is Gordon? No, it's JP3's brother. Mark is the one who started Getty Images.
Oh, okay.
Or online. So he seems to be doing okay, I guess. There are like a lot of like,
well, I mean, I guess
grandchildren, great grandchildren who are out there, like they're like Instagram people, models, but like you said, a lot of like depression, substance abuse, that kind of stuff still running rampant. It's a lot of like generational.
I guess if you think about it, in both cases, like if the patriarch of the family is a giant fucking bag of dickweed, then like he fucks up all his kids. He's around to fuck up all the grandkids. So like it takes so many generations to get away from that for them to like fix themselves enough to stop, you know. A lot of generational curses happening there.
Yes. But it's like you see a lot of these kids who, like the grandkids or the great grandkids who are seeing their parents who've been directly affected by this douche canoe.
Well, can you imagine hearing, yes, your great grandfather refused to pay the ransom that he easily could have afforded, just like out of pocket change, really.
Right, yeah. Like 17 million would have been nothing.
He was like, oh, I don't want my other grandkids to get kidnapped.
Right, yeah. Like what?
But then when he finally does negotiate, he only pays the tax deductible amount and makes his son pay the rest with interest. So that's your genes, kids. Congratulations.
Right.
Wow.
Yep.
Puts a new spin on toxic family, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That was amazing, Claire. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hey guys, when you feel bad about your family, just remember these people. Boy.
Indeed.
All right. So, Claire.
Yeah.
What are you judging this week?
Comcast.
Comcast?
Slash Xfinity.
Comcast must die? What?
So that's why we didn't do an episode last week. No. When I first moved into this house 10 years ago, you know how it is when they like get you with the bundle, whatever. Like, oh, you're locked in this price for however many years. Anyway, So then the deal goes away, and then it was just laziness on my part. And also, I hate calling Xfinity's customer service because it's awful.
Yes, it is.
As you will see in a moment when I get to the point. So finally, it's like, you know, prices just keep going up and up and up and up. And I had the bundle. I had like, not like I ever use my cable anymore because it's all streaming now, but it had like the cable, the telephone, which I never used, and the internet. So it was like, I don't use cable anymore. Everything, you know, I've got Roku, all that stuff. And so I was just like, prices were just like, I can't do this anymore. Something has got to give. So I was like, okay, I've got to call and take care of this, regardless of dealing with customer service. So I call and I tell the guy on the phone, I need to get rid of cable and phone. I only want to keep my internet service stuff. That's what I tell him. Just the internet stuff. Don't mess with it. Just get rid of the cable and the phone. That's all I want. In the process of that, he got, because I use an Xfinity modem.
Right.
In the process of that, he deleted the modem that I rent. So I didn't have a modem on there. So when the new month changed over, I had no internet. And I was like, what? What? Why is this not working? What's happening? So I have to call again. So I'm like, what is going on? Because I get online and it's like, or on my phone, and it's like, there's not any outages in my area. What's happening? So I call again, the second guy. He was great. He was actually like on top of it, and he was working hard to like figure out the issue. And he was like, okay, I see here. He goes, that modem has been deleted. You're not. I was like, no, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted.
Someone did not use their listening ears here.
Yeah, exactly. I said, no. I said, all I wanted was to get rid of the cable and the phone. I wanted to just keep internet only. And he was like, okay, well, I can add it back on. He's like, there'll be and I'm like, the $15 rental is fine. I don't care. Like, I just give me the modem back, please. And so then he's looking, he's like, oh. He's like, this modem is really old and out of date. And I'm like, yeah, I got it when I moved into this house 10 years ago. And he's like, he's like, this modem is not meant to support the type of internet that, like, the speed of internet that you have. He's like, do you have problems with it? And I said, well, the only time I really have problems is when April and I record the podcast, like really with streaming and stuff. I don't have an issue when I'm on my phone. I really don't have an issue. It's just there's like lag in the video when we record, or it'll just freeze up completely, or like on the computer it just like craps out, and it's like my computer's like, nope, I don't want to be connected to your internet anymore. Like, screw you. And so he was like, okay, that's probably part of it. He was like, your modem is just spazzing out because it can't handle the speed of internet that you've got. And he was like, he said, it won't cost me anything. He's like, I can send somebody out to get you put a new modem in. And I was like, okay. So they come out to do the modem, and the guy comes out and he was like, so what's wrong with your internet? I'm like, well, nothing's wrong. So I explained to him the whole thing, and he was like, well, that's not the type of call that I came out here for. Like, they put him in for like a service call, like something was wrong.
Right.
Not I'm switching out your equipment call.
Yeah.
And so he was like, well, he's like, well, you're lucky that I have one in my truck or my van here.
Also, like, lucky, isn't it your actual job to have backup equipment for people when you're doing a service call?
But I guess it was like the type of modem of modem that they said, yeah, right.
Whatever. I'm calling shenanigans, but keep going.
So, but then he has to call customer service to be like, to get them to change the type of call.
Right.
Because he's like, if I were to leave here and it doesn't work, then he said that it's a ding like on my team.
Right.
So he's like arguing with the woman on his customer service call, because he's like, but why was it put as this type of call when it never should have been? You know, and I was just sitting there like, oh my God. And so then he hangs up and he was like, he's like, everybody bitches about customer service. And he's like, but we have to fucking deal with them too. And I'm like, dude,
that's insane.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And then once he got it all, and he was like, you'll be getting a text that's like, rate your service. And he goes, just know that has nothing to do with Xfinity, the company. He goes, that's about me and how I did. And he goes, and if you give me anything less than a 9, it's gonna make my team look bad.
Oh,
and I was like,
I appreciate the honesty. It's like, just tell me what you need, buddy. I will help you. Yeah,
I know. I gave him a 10 because I was like, I felt bad for him.
Yeah,
and he even went out and he like checked everything, like all the cables and stuff to make sure. And he's like, everything else looks good. He was like, showed me. He was like, see, here's your speed. He was like, the new modem's working good. He was like, make sure everything was connected, and I didn't have to like put my password in again. Like once he got it all up and it was on the network, it was fine.
Oh, good.
But it was just like having to deal, and I was just like, oh my gosh. I was so aggravated.
It's fair.
Like, once he came out, like the second guy I talked to customer service wise, he was fine. And he figured out what the deal was. And he was like, okay, so he said, I'll turn this modem back on. But he said, it may be spotty. He was like, because it's showing that it's in the red because it's not really meant to handle the speed of internet.
It doesn't want to work. So it probably won't work.
Yeah. And so it was like, it took it a minute to like get back up online and work. And I was just like, So yeah. That's why we didn't record, was because of me. I am the drama. So hopefully now with the better modem and it's more equipped to handle. Apparently I've got good internet. It was just the modem was trash.
Good.
So, but yeah, Comcast / Xfinity, you all need to do better with your customer service, man.
They should. I mean, like, it's
now your tech was on it.
Yeah,
he was
but
good.
Like at the point that they're arguing with a tech that seems really extreme and stupid. Like, what the hell, guys?
And finally, he was just like, okay, fine, whatever. And he was just done. He's like, but can you just switch it? He was just like over it by that point. I felt bad because, I mean, my appointment was like after work. So it was like 5:30 or no. The first one was after work and they wound up changing it. So this one was like at like 3:30.
Oh no.
So it was like still later in the day. I felt bad. I was just like, it was late in the day. I know the guy probably wanted to go home. It was just, so it was like, I'm sorry. Also, my house, a disaster. I apologize. So yeah, I gave him a 10 because he came and did his job and like, explained everything and was like,
He left, you had internet. That's all you wanted. You're like, and thank you.
Yeah. He set it up. It was good. Everything worked. And I was like, thank God. And I can record again. Hooray! So, but yeah, Xfinity, do better, man. This is like, gosh, your customer service is trash. Your texts were excellent. Customer service, garbage. So anyway, that's my judge is
good judge. Yeah.
Anyway. So, what are you judging?
So, I mean, Claire's familiar with this routine in my life, but for the rest of you, I have this really fun habit where I decide I'm going to be healthier. So I watch documentaries and then I read books and then I get all...
And then she's like, I'm going to be vegan for like 4 days a week.
Yep. So now we're plant-based 80% of the time, which by the way is like not that big a deal. There's like 4 meals a week that aren't whatever. Anyway, so it's funny because it turns out that my sister-in-law and I are both reading the book at the same time, completely unrelated. It is not a new book. It's been out for years. So the odds of us having, anyway. So it's called How Not to Die. Highly recommend. Fascinating because it's all like the research and the studies and the things that we don't really hear about, obviously, because we don't want to read nutrition science magazines. So like he talks about different food groups and like the different studies and what different foods can and cannot do. And it's not the only super, I mean, like he obviously is super plant-based, like 100%, but he tells you meat is bad, but he doesn't like shame you for for it or anything, other than like the ones that literally are carcinogenic. So like, I'm sorry guys, you got to let the deli meats and all of your nitrite sausagey things, you got to let go. It's going to kill you. The bacon will kill you, and not just because you fried it.
And not just because you fried it. Okay.
But so what I'm judging this week is that I learned 2 bizarre things that I just, now that I know them, you have to know them.
She's like,
kind of a thing.
I'm going to make you know this too.
So like, one is that they, at least in some study or in some research that has been done by legitimate peer-reviewed, like this is real science, not just somebody wrote something down. Right. Apparently they have been able to track the bacteria that causes most, not all, most UTI and bladder infections.
Ew.
And apparently, I mean, I'm talking like they compared the DNA of it to E. coli that exists in chicken. So it's because we eat chicken that we're getting UTI and bladder infections.
What?
I know. God, the meat industry is disgusting, I'm telling you. But I was like, I'm sorry, wait, what now? Because I like, by the way, chicken is no longer safe. You can't eat chicken anymore. I'm sorry. Because at this point, they have, like, chicken used to be like the leaner version, but because they have not genetically modified, but like bred chickens to gain weight faster so that they can.
Right. To make them like bigger. And,
there's a lot more saturated fats and stuff in the chicken because they're bred to gain weight. So you're eating that. So it's not good for you. So don't worry. I had Cane's chicken fingers and French fries last week to celebrate my birthday. So like I'm not completely on the other side. Just being careful. Making sure I'm choosing the best chicken. If I'm gonna eat it, by God, it's gonna be the best chicken. Okay. The other random thing that I learned that, because I know you have to know. Now, many of you may know, and many of you may not, but many of you may know that when you eat asparagus, you get stinky pee.
Yes.
Your pee stinks. Yeah. But there are, in fact, 4 types of people, sort of like in 2 groups. So there are, as a person, you either can eat asparagus and have stinky pee, or you can eat asparagus and not have stinky pee. Like, it's possible. Like, some people just don't do that.
It doesn't happen, yeah.
But also, there are 2 types of people that can smell the stinky pea asparagus and those that cannot smell the stinky pea asparagus. So you can be eating asparagus and you can be peeing and thinking that you don't have stinky pee, but you just can't smell it because, in fact, everyone else knows that you had asparagus because they can smell it. And my mind just was like, the fuck what? What
That's
a random thing.
Weird. That's very bizarre.
So it's like, I somehow inherited my pee stinks when I eat asparagus and I can smell it. So I'm very aware when I have asparagus.
Nice.
I'm like, well, I had asparagus today.
Nice.
So
that's interesting. That's wild.
And somewhat in relation to that, I watched the new Netflix documentary about like the health of your gut or something about your gut. Super fascinating in a different way. It's not really about plant-based eating. It's about the microbiome in your gut and how in the last 10 years they've done a lot more study and research in which they are realizing that a lot of our diseases and issues may be related to the microbiome. And so apparently when you are a baby, you are born, you have no microbiome in your gut, but you get your first bits of it when you are birthed through the birthing canal because of the bacteria that's there and the fact that it's close to, you're coming out near the ass. So you're going to get some poopy bacteria too.
Right.
And then, for most babies, when possible, they're breastfed. So that's their next dose. So if you were like me and you were in fact a C-section baby that was never breastfed, then it is not your fault that you have allergies because you didn't get any of the microbiomes when you were a baby that you needed. Blame your mother.
Wow. Wow.
Just kidding.
That's wild.
But I was like, double whammy. I was a C-section, so I didn't get any of those. And when we were born, I remember Mom telling me that at the time, doctors thought that formula was better. So they encouraged women to do formula and not breastfeed. Now they know better. So I can blame all of my health ills on...
on bad science.
On bad science. Like, thanks a lot, doctors. Thanks. So, but there you go. Those are my judges. They're very health related. Stay with me as I continue this crazy journey of, I mean, I even have this is my little snack. It has mixed nuts in it, and it has pepitos. Little pumpkin seeds. So, I'm trying.
Excellent.
Yay. So, on that note, it must be time for tarot time with April. Spooky. All right. Claire, what shall we ask the cards this week? All right. So, universe. We know that Donald Trump is in one of his many, many, many court cases. And as of today, he's already been given a gag order and violated the gag order and ordered to pay like $9,000, which is nothing to him.
Right.
But like, will he ever learn to shut up? What do you think?
I'm going to say no.
I mean, we have the Ace of Swords inverted. We have the Pope inverted. Well, he ain't learning crap. And we have the Five of Coins / Pentacles upright. Again, these are all upright. I'm having an inverted time. That happened recently, didn't it?
Yeah,
you were like,
that happened last week.
Was it the last time?
Yeah, that was last time with all the UK stuff.
Oh, and I think we had the Ace of Swords inverted last time as well, because it's missed it by that much. Think of what happens when you drop a knife. Whether or not it stabs you in the foot on the way down, you react the same. You gasp. You exclaim. Your body tenses. Look out for accidents, missed opportunities, and be careful how you handle that blade. Yeah, we know he won't be careful. He's an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not looking good so far.
And then my very exciting, the Pope, aka the Hierophant, inverted. Inverted, the Hierophant is any person who is right because they say so. Inflexible and unforgiving.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. It pulls it uses Agatha Trunchbull from Matilda as an example.
Yes.
Saying,
oh my god.
Even if you didn't do it, I'm going to punish you because I'm big and you're small and I'm right and you're wrong and there's nothing you can do about it. You're a liar and a scoundrel and your father is a liar and a cheat. You're the most corrupt lowlifes in the history of civilization. Am I wrong? I'm never wrong. In this classroom, in this school, I am God. Well, that is 100% Trump.
I mean, facts.
I mean, I didn't know that existed until now. So cool.
Right.
And then we're gonna end with the Five of Pentacles. Down on your luck, being ill, being disconnected from hope. This card is a punch in the stomach. Yes, please. All those things that keep you up at night, all those things you can't control. You lost your job. You lost your love. The ground under your feet has shifted and things are going to be difficult. All right. I dig that. Sucks to be him.
I mean, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
All those were pretty on point.
I Oh, good job, universe. I always appreciate when they give me some things that like feel right.
Right.
All right. So we have updated our Wheel of Fate. Claire does not know what is on it. That's how I like to keep her guessing.
I do not.
What will it be?
We'll get something and I'll be like, what?
An old one? It's gonna be
new. Yes! Yes! Victory! Woo! Yes!
We got a new one. We got serial killers. Woo! So
yes!
Join us next weekend, probably the week after that, because I bet this will be a long one.
Probably.
As we talk serial killers. Yay!
Yes!
Happiness.
So excited.
Me too. That says something probably really unfortunate about us, but that's okay.
I know, right? We're so bad.
But until next time when we talk serial killers, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. You can find us in all the things and at all the places at
Brunch and Judge.
Please follow, like, comment, subscribe, and you can send us some more topics for our wheel or any specific stories you'd like for us to cover to us at
brunchandjudge@gmail.com.
So until next time, keep on brunching
and keep on judging.
And pay the ransom for your grandkids. Like, just come on.
I was going to say, don't be a dick.
My God.
If you come into money, don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.